November 24th, 1971. A Boeing 727 shakes through a freezing storm, 10,000 feet over the forests of Washington state. In the very last row sits a quiet man in a dark suit. He orders a bourbon. He pays. He even tips. Then he hands the flight attendant a note. She thinks it's just another lonely businessman passing her his phone number. She pockets it without reading.
Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb.
Within 5 hours, this man will collect $200,000 in ransom, jump out of the back of this airplane into a -7-degree storm at night, and never be seen again. Not alive, not dead, not ever. The FBI would chase him for 45 years and fail, but he left behind 2 clues, a cheap necktie and a rotting bundle of cash on a riverbank that still don't make sense. By the end of this video, you'll know everything they know and you can decide who he was. This is the only unsolved skyjacking in American history. It's the day before Thanksgiving. Portland International Airport, Oregon. Everyone's flying home for turkey. A man walks up to the Northwest Orient counter and buys a one-way ticket to Seattle. $20. The name he gives is Dan Cooper. No ID required. It was 1971. You could basically board a plane with a firm handshake. Quick note, a reporter would later botch the name as D. But Cooper, and it stuck. History remembers him by a typo. Flight 305 is barely a third full. Cooper takes seat 18C, last row. Nobody notices him. Mid-40s, olive skin, neatly pressed suit loafers. The most forgettable man on the plane. He orders a bourbon and soda and waits for takeoff like a man heading to a sales meeting. At 2:50 p.m. Flight 305 lifts off for what should be a 30-minute hop to Seattle, and that's when he passes Florence Schaffner the note. The note is printed in neat capital letters. I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. He sits. He opens the case just enough. 8 red cylinders. Wires. A large battery. Real or fake, nobody will ever know. She believes it. So would you. Florence walks to the cockpit, calmly like a professional, and delivers the news.
Seattle Tower, we have a situation. Passenger claims he has a bomb. Requesting instructions.
$200,000. In a knapsack. By 5 p.m. 4 parachutes. 2 front, 2 back. And a fuel truck ready in Seattle.
$200,000 in 1971, about $1.5 million today. And notice the detail. 4 parachutes. That request was genius. If he asked if it were 1 parachute, the FBI making him a 7 But 4. Now they had to assume he might force crew members to jump with him. Every chute had to work. For 2 hours, Flight 305 circles Seattle while banks scramble to assemble the ransom, $10,020 bills. The FBI quietly photographs every single serial number. And here's the wildest part. The other 35 passengers have no idea. They're told there's a minor mechanical difficulty. They're annoyed about missing dinner. Witnesses later described the hijacker as polite. How rather nice, said one attendant. He asked for his meal tray to be taken. He offered to request meals for the crew. Who was this guy? 5:39 p.m. Flight 305 finally lands in Seattle, taxiing to a bright, isolated corner of the tarmac, exactly as Cooper instructed. A lone airline employee walks the money and parachutes to the plane. No FBI. No police visible. Cooper is watching the windows for tricks. In exchange, Cooper releases all 36 passengers and 2 of the attendants. Most of them find out they were hijacked from the evening news. 21 pounds of cash. He doesn't even count it properly. He knows roughly what 10,000 bills should feel like. Prepare!
Fly to Mexico City. 10,000 feet. Gear down. Flaps 15. Cabin unpressurized. And keep the rear stairs down.
The crew freezes. Rear stairs down. In flight? That's when they understand. This man doesn't want to land anywhere. He wants to leave. Mid-air. At 7:36 p.m., the 727 climbs into one of the worst possible nights for what he's about to do. Freezing rain, total darkness, 200-mile-per-hour winds over the airframe. And this is why he chose the Boeing 727 specifically. It's practically the only airliner with a staircase in the tail, folding down under the plane away from the engines. A built-in exit ramp. He knew this plane. Alone in the cabin now, Cooper straps on a parachute, ties the money bag to his body, and orders the last attendant, Tina Mucklow, into the cockpit. Before the door closes, she glances back. The last confirmed sighting of DB. Cooper in human history. A quiet man in the back of a plane tying a knot. 8 p.m. A light blinks in the cockpit. The rear stairs are open. Freezing air screams through the cabin. Picture standing there, 10,000 feet up, -7 degrees. Pitch black, no lights below. Only forest, mountains, and a freezing river. In a business suit. In loafers. At 8:13 p.m., the crew feels the tail of the aircraft suddenly bounce upward. That bump was him. Somewhere over the forests north of Portland, DB. Cooper stepped off the stairs and dropped into the night. 2 Air Force fighter jets were secretly shadowing Flight 305. Neither saw a thing. No parachute. No falling man. Nothing. He fell straight off the map. When the plane landed in Reno, agents swarmed the cabin. Cooper was gone. He'd left behind 2 of the 4 parachutes and, on seat 18, 1 black clip-on tie from JC. That costing $1.49. Remember that tie? The FBI launched Hijacked, one of the longest manhunts in Bureau history. Hundreds of soldiers marched shoulder to shoulder through the drop zone for weeks. They found nothing. No parachute. No body. No money. A man had fallen out of the sky into 50 square miles of wilderness, and the wilderness said, never heard of him. Over the years, the FBI processed more than 800 CS suspects, ex-paratroopers, disgruntled Boeing workers, deathbed confessors, even a man who legally changed his name to DB. Cooper. All of them dead ends. 5 months later, a Vietnam veteran named Richard McCoy copied the plan almost exactly and got caught in 72 hours. The FBI wondered, was McCoy Cooper himself? Problem, McCoy didn't match the descriptions and had an alibi. Dead end, number 801. Years passed. The trail went ice cold. And then, 9 years after the jump, an 8-year-old boy went on a family picnic. February 1980. The Columbia River, a sandbank called Tina Bar. Young Brian Ingram is smoothing sand for a campfire when his arm hits something papery. 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. $5,800. Still in rubber bands. The FBI checks the serial numbers and every single bill is Cooper's ransom money. Here's the problem. Tina Bar is miles away from the calculated drop zone and upstream of where his money should have drifted. The clue that should have solved the case made it stranger. Did he land in the river? Did someone bury it? Did the FBI compute the whole flight path wrong? And then, there's the tie. Decades later, scientists ran it through an electron microscope and found something bizarre. Microscopic particles of pure, unalloyed titanium. In 1971, pure titanium was so rare, it basically lived in one place: aerospace and chemical engineering plants. Whoever wore that tie likely worked around advanced aircraft manufacturing, which would explain how he knew the 727 secret staircase, wouldn't it? So who was he? The copycat, McCoy? Wrong face, wrong day, said the FBI. Kenneth Christiansen, an airline employee and former paratrooper who suddenly paid off a house in cash. His own brother believed it was him. The FBI said, too short, too thin. Dwayne Weber, whose dying words to his wife were, "I'm Dan Cooper." The DNA from the tie didn't match. Probably. In 2016, after 45 years, the FBI officially closed the case. The only unsolved skyjacking in American history. No body. No name. No answer. Just an empty seat, a $1 tie, and somewhere out there, maybe, an old man who once fell out of the sky and got away with it. So, who do you think stepped off those stairs? Drop your verdict in the comments. And if you like impossible mysteries, wait until you hear about the 9 hikers who cut their way out of their own tent into a -30-degree night and never came back. Subscribe so you don't miss it.